And then the day would begin. Discoveries would be made. I would share 100 things with Basha, and we would both say out loud, we never knew this about Peter Crane. We are finding out more about Peter after death than we ever knew while he lived. And then Basha would sadly lament, you know, Jeff, a mother is the last to find out. I continued to open drawers packed with muscle magazines, every vitamin and mineral supplement known to man, canceled checks from the 1990s. His bookshelves are filled with law binders and self-help books, spiritual guides, tributes honoring his Buddhist religion and belief, and hats and hats and more hats. And as you see in the lower garden, we've worked up a little display. Basha and I would love for each and every one of those hats to be gone by the end of the day. So sometime during the meal, saunter down there, don't bull rush the display, choose a hat and wear it in memory of Peter. Because 3 days from now, I'm going to be at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. It'll be 104 degrees, but we're going, and Peter will be there with me.
Nice.
Awesome.
Peter literally wore many hats, 118 to be exact. I counted. Each hat metaphorically represents part of Peter's life, his very complicated life. We would like you to take one with you, and each time you wear it, think of dear Peter. As the week wore on, and I listened to Basha's stories, every night she would cook a wonderful meal. We'd sit down, have a glass of wine, and we'd talk about Peter. And every time there'd be a story, something new, I'd scribble down notes I didn't know before. But we listened to your stories. So many of you communicated with us this week, and we got to know more about Peter, but a picture began to be formed. And I found out that Peter was very smart, but he was a scoundrel. His mother's own words. Yes. He was a gifted and very progressive businessman. He was a lover and preserver of planet Earth. He was not lazy. He was the very essence of activity. Peter was Jesus on skis. But sadly, he was also a burner of bridges. He was his own Mr. Hyde to Dr. Jekyll.
True that.
In a few moments, B.J. Wasserman, Peter's friend from Redwood High School, will share his memories of Peter, followed by any of you who would like to share a brief story or Peter moment. Please keep in mind that his mother and her best friend, 99-year-old Margaret, are sitting in the front row. And keep it on the Family Channel, please. Last Friday, April 23rd, Peter's life support was removed a little after 4 p.m. For the next hour, we chanted, we sang, we prayed, we laid hands on him. Basha held his hand as his breathing and pulse gradually slowed. Eventually, there was this peaceful calm that came over his body and ended with his face. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. During Peter's final hour, Andrew had the brilliant idea to sing a Rolling Stones song to him. So he queued up the classic, Beasts of Burden. What was that little device he used called, Basha? I'm teasing you. What is that little thing you young people keep using? I said, Basha, it's a phone, it's a computer, it does everything. So Andrew queued up Beasts of Burden, and we knocked it out as best we could. We karaoke. I think the hospital staff was curling their toes under their scrubs, but we got through it in honor of Peter. Now the Rolling Stones, costume change. The Rolling Stones have come into play a lot this week. Excuse me.